class. So here today we're going to be looking at the control flow in Python. So Python control flow refers to the way in which the execution of code is directed based on conditions, loops, or jumps. It enables decision making, repetition, and control over program execution. So here in this class, we're going to be looking at the conditional if and then the loops, right? And then the loops, we're going to be looking at the for loop and the while loop. Now we need to understand what is conditional if. Now the conditional statement allows code to execute only if a condition is true. Now let's give an example here. So let's assume that we have a variable called age and we'll put the variable and we'll pass in 16, age 16, right? So it means that age is assigned as 16. So now let's assume that we want to write an algorithm that any age that is greater than 18 is not eligible to any age less than 16, sorry, any age less than 16 is not eligible to enter the university. So all we just need to do here is to write a conditional if, like if, right? So is less than, if age is less than 16, if age is less than 16, then colon, then enter, then print you are not eligible to enter the university, right? So in this code now, what happens here is you can see that the age here is 16, right? So it means that if 16 is less than 16, right, that's what it means. You are not eligible to enter university. So if you run this, nothing will happen because this rule is not true, right? So if I run this, you can see nothing happens, right? No result. It didn't return any result because this rule is not true. Is 16 less than 16? No. So it won't return this. It will return this. So if we move to our PowerPoint slide here, you can see that the if statement executes a block of code if the condition evaluates to true, right? So in that place, the condition does not evaluate to true. That's why it doesn't return anything here. But what if you say if age is less than or equal to 16? Now, if age is less than or equal to 16, this is true, right? Now, the first one, less than, is not true, but or equal to. The equal to is true. It means that because this age here is 16, right? It means 16 is less than or equal to. This equal to is true, so it will print this. So if I run this, it prints it because of the equal to. Remember the or, right? Or the less than is not, but or equal to 16 means that age is equal to 16, right? Which means you are not eligible to enter university. So you can see it's true, right? Only when it's less than or equal to here, right? So now let's move to the next one here. So in this second one here, say if else statement provides an alternative block of code if the condition is false, right? So you can see we've done the first one and now we want to do the second one, right? We want to do the second one. So that is where we use the if else statement. So if age is less than or equal to 16, the print you're not eligible, then else column, then print you are eligible. Copy this and then paste it here. You are eligible to enter university, right? So now what if I have 15 here? What if I have 15 here? So it means that this age is assigned as 15, which means 15 is less than or equal to 16, which means this is true, right? This is true. So it will print you are not eligible to enter university. So if I run this, you are not eligible. What if we have age is equal to 18? Right? So now analyzing this code here, you can see age is assigned as 18. 18 is not less than 16 and 18 is not equal to 16. So it will print the else statement here, which means you are eligible to enter university. So this will print you are eligible to enter university. You can see how simple coding is, right? You can see it. Now let's make this a function. Let's make this a function here. So what I will do here is I will copy this, then I will go to my app.py where we've written all our functions, right? Right, the test is just to run our functions. So I'll go to my test of the app.py here, then I'll write a function. Let's call this def what we'll call this one, and let's call it what we'll call it. Let's call it admit student, right? So there's no parameter column, then let's put this here. So what we need to do here, I need to So what we need to do here is I want it to be dynamically typed where I can pass in the age here because this is a local variable. You can see that this variable is a local variable within this function. So I need a parameter where I can then use this function to detect if the person is eligible or not. So I will have my parameter, which is a variable one, which is age, right? So there's no need to put this age equal to 18 anymore, right? So this I've done the job, right? So if age is less than 16, you are not eligible to enter university, else yes. So now if I go to my test.py, right? So I will import from the app, which is a script here, import all the function, which is a star. So now if I call this function, right, admit student, I will call it here, admit student, and then pass the age, and let's pass 27 to this, and let's see what happens, right? So if I run the test at pi, so it means you are eligible to enter university because the person is 27 years. You can see how I'm using this. So I can then pass, let me pass another one, let me pass 12 years old. So if I run this, you are not eligible to enter the university. You can see how I've written the conditional if into a function and how I've using that particular function, right? So you can see what happens, right? So that is all we need for conditional if. But there's another one which is the third line, if if else, right? The if else if else statement. So it checks multiple conditions in a sequence. It checks multiple conditions in a sequence, right? So now let's assume that the rule of the university state that now, if you're not, for you to enter university, you must be above 16 years. Then, for you to enter final year, you must be above 20 years, right? So, let's assume that we have something like that. So, I can decide to use multiple conditions in sequence to do that. So, all I just need to do here is to go to my app.py here, right? So now the rules tell you that if the age is less than 16, right, you are not eligible to enter university. Or less than equal to 16, you're not eligible to enter university, right? So that means for you to enter university, you must be at least 17 years. For it, let's give an example, 17 years. Then the second condition state that L if, right? L if like this, L if like this. So L if if age age is less than or equal to 18 years, right? So it means that print you are not eligible to enter 400 level, right? So you can see what happens, right? So it means that now let's pass it. Now let's assume that this is 12 years old, right? So let's analyze this code. So it means that this parameter here, because we have passed the argument, you can see this is the argument which is 12. So it means that this parameter here, right, if it passed through the first line, so if age is less than or equal to 16, means that the age is 12, right? The age is 12. 12 is less than or equal to 16, which means it should print this. to print this. What if we have 17? If we have 17, age is 17 is less than or equal to 16. No. So if we go to the next one here, 17 is less than or equal to 18. So it will print this, right? Then else it will print this. Else, if we have 19 years, right, it will print this. So now let's try and see what happens, right? Now, if I put 17 here, if I put 17 here, it will print you are not eligible to enter 400 level. You can see what happened, just like we are explained, right? So this rule is true. That's why it returns this. So what if I put 19? If I put 19, it will return you are eligible to enter university. So if I put 19, right, it is to show this you are eligible to enter the university because it passed because in 19 years you can see here that age in 19 is less than equal to 16 is not true. 19 is less than equal to 18 is not true, then else it will print this. So that is how coding works, right? So we have understood this. So next thing we'll move on to the loop. We'll move on to the loop in our next lecture, right? We'll move on to loop in our next lecture. So this is the conditional if. Now, the reason for we want to loop here is let's assume that we have a list here. Let's assume here we have a list. Here we have a variable like this n that holds a list of item, which is an integer data type, which we have 4, 6, 7, and then 9, right? So this is a list which is represented as a square bracket with a collection of items, and these items are integer data type. Remember that this can hold any data type, but this one we're just using the integer data type to show the examples, right? So you can see that we have 4 items here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So now here, before we start using the list, to get the item in the list, right? Remember that 4 is located in index 0, 6 is located in index 1, 7 is located in index 2, and 9 is located in index 3, right? So now for us to get the value in this list here, let's assume we want to get the value located in index 2. All we just need to do is to write print and square brackets 2. So it will print out the value. Let me remove this. To print out the value located in index 2 for us, and it will give us 7, which is 0, 1, 2, which is 7. So 7 is the number located in index 2, right? So now let's look at what happened. So let's assume that we want to find a number in this list, right? In this list. Now the conditional if will actually work where we have the if else statement, multiple conditions, right? But it's not actually a good idea when we have an n item in this list where we have more than n items in this list because the computer is dummy, right? So we want the computer to search through and to search for a particular number. Now, writing a conditional if, that means you have so many multiple conditions, and that is not actually a very good coding, right? Because you end up writing multiple conditions. So that is where the loop come into play. So in our next lecture, I'm going to be explaining the loop. I'm going to be explaining how the computer processes the loops, and also we're going to learn the inner loops, the linear, and then the quadratic loop, right? The quadratic loop. We're going to be explaining them in our next lecture. So thank you, and God bless you.